Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are embarking on a truly transformative journey. We're going to explore the fascinating intersection of expressive arts therapy and a radical reimagining of human perception. This isn't just about painting a pretty picture or singing a song in a circle. It is about fundamentally understanding how our bodies and minds interact with the world around us so we can heal from the inside out.
But before we get to the art part of all this, I want to challenge a really basic assumption right out of the gate. Think about it. Since kindergarten, we've all been taught that we have exactly 5 senses. The drill: sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. But what if I told you that's actually less than half the story? What if you actually have 12? Keep that question in mind, because it's going to completely change how you view your own mind and body.
Today's Explainer is structured into 5 quick parts. 1. Fixing versus healing. 2. Modalities of expressive arts. 3. The 12 human senses. 4. Senses in harmony. And 5. Practical self-regulation.
Let's start with Section 1, Fixing versus Healing. So the crucial point here is that we're looking at 2 vastly different worldviews. The traditional Western medical model is basically built on eradication, right? It focuses entirely on fixing you by getting rid of your symptoms. If you have a pain, you remove the pain. Simple. But compare that to Eastern and shamanic practices. They view disease and distress totally differently, as a messenger. Instead of just silencing the alarm, the focus is on listening to the soul and actually embodying those painful parts of the self. In this context, healing isn't about erasing a problem. It's about bringing those dark, difficult parts into a brand new relationship with your creative self.
Moving right into Section 2, Modalities of Expressive Arts.
So how do we actually do this? How do we practically listen to these messengers of the soul? Well, it starts with a major shift in perspective, and this is championed by theorists like Stephen K. Levine. In his work on poiesis, which, by the way, is the ancient Greek concept of bringing something into existence, and postmodernism, Levine redefines what beauty means in therapy. It's a game changer. Beauty isn't found in some perfectly painted, harmonious picture. Not at all. Instead, beauty and truth often emerge from the raw, discordant chaos of human suffering. It's all about the creative process itself, poiesis. You embrace the chaos and the vulnerability to forge a genuine human connection.
This brings to mind a really powerful metaphor from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. He referred to art as a saving sorceress. I absolutely love this visual. Expressive arts therapy doesn't just ask you to sit on a couch and talk endlessly about your suffering. It enlists this sorceress of art to actively transform that suffering into actionable, tangible material for living. It takes what is deeply internal and invisible and makes it external and real.
To see exactly how this works in practice, let's break down Daria Halperin's highly practical movement therapy process. She believes that our unexplored stories actually manifest as physical distress. So how do we release these pent-up body stories? It's a brilliant 5-step process. Step 1, find a theme. Let's say you're feeling profoundly confused. Step 2, you focus entirely on your body sensations. Maybe you notice you're shivering or your shoulders are completely tense. Step 3, you move expressively to physically act out that exact feeling. Step 4, you draw a picture in direct response to that physical movement. And finally, Step 5, you write a poem or a short story about the whole experience. It so seamlessly integrates the body, the mind, and the feelings.
And this brilliantly illustrates how different modalities serve entirely different psychological needs. Take a look at this concept from Margarita Werja, music as mother. Think about individuals who perhaps lacked adequate mothering in their childhood, people who missed out on that fundamental physical closeness and comfort. For them, voice work and music can literally step in to fill that void. Music has the power to hold, shape, and structure our inner, wordless experiences, offering this really profound path to emotional restoration.
Let's transition to Section 3, the 12 human senses.
To truly understand how our bodies process this art, this movement, and this music, we need to make a massive conceptual shift. The philosopher Rudolf Steiner proposed that we don't just have 5 senses, we actually have 12, and he divided them into 3 distinct realms. First, we have the physical or lower senses, which tell us about our own body. Second, the soul or feeling senses, which dictate our experience of the external world. And third, the spiritual or cognitive senses, which connect us to the immaterial world and to other people. Let's break these down because it is fascinating. First up, the 4 physical senses, which are also known as the senses of the will. We have touch. Now, touch isn't just about feeling textures, it actually defines our physical boundaries. It tells us exactly where we end and the rest of the world begins. Then there's the sense of life. This is basically our internal radar for vitality and pain, warning us when something is off internally. Next is the sense of movement, which gives us this subconscious awareness of our joints and muscles, so we know exactly where our limbs are in space without looking. Finally, balance, which is driven by our inner ear's vestibular system, keeping us oriented horizontally and vertically. Together, these four give us the subconscious map of ourselves.
Moving outward, we hit the soul senses. These arouse our feelings about the world around us. Sight gives us light and colors, which, as we know, deeply affect our mood. Smell is incredibly fascinating. Because it bypasses our conscious filters, it heavily influences our memory and, surprisingly, even our moral judgment. We instinctively feel that things that smell bad are actually bad or wrong for us. Then taste helps us judge our food, and warmth is just incredible. Sure, we perceive physical temperature with it, but it also dictates our social connections. If someone radiates warmth, we connect with them. If they are cold, we feel rejected.
Finally, we reach the highest tier, the spiritual or cognitive senses. These are our highly evolved social senses. Hearing allows us to perceive the internal nature of objects and people. The sense of word or speech isn't just about hearing a sound, it's about grasping language. And get this, listening to speech actually triggers tiny, subconscious micro-movements in our own muscles. The sense of thought allows us to comprehend another person's concepts. And lastly, the sense of the ego gives us the ability to perceive someone else's true individuality. Think about it. When you maintain deep eye contact or share a really firm handshake, you are directly activating this ego sense, encountering their true self.
Now on to Section 4, Senses in Harmony.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how this symphony of perception actually works in real time, because these senses definitely do not operate in isolation. Imagine you're just standing there looking at a house. You might think you're only using your sense of sight to see the colors of the paint, but your sense of movement is actually tracking your eye muscles to determine the shape of the building. Your sense of balance is assessing the vertical and horizontal lines of the architecture. Your sense of life is subconsciously judging if the proportions feel harmonious, and through a kind of sensorial fantasy, your sense of touch is already anticipating the rough texture of the brick walls. You are literally engaging a whole orchestra of senses just by looking at a building.
And that brings us to our final part. Section 5, Practical Self-Regulation.
So, we have this profound capacity to perceive the world and this incredible ability to heal through expressive arts. But how do we actually use this in our everyday lives? The source material highlights several really simple, actionable tools for this. Mindful breathing is key, for sure, but with an expressive twist. As you scan your body for tension, try visualizing a bright light entering that heaviness. Assign the tension a specific color, and then imagine exhaling that color completely out of your body. You can also practice art journaling, just grabbing some blank pages and painting your feelings every other day without judging the outcome at all. Coupled with basic grounding exercises, these techniques release built-up stress and help keep you firmly anchored in the present moment.
We've covered a lot of ground today, right? From the chaotic, raw beauty of poiesis to the intricate, hidden mechanics of your 12 senses. The big takeaway here is that you are not a fixed entity. You are a highly creative interplay of parts, voices, and senses. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Now that you know you have this amazing 12-sense biological map and a powerful inner artist waiting to be unleashed as a saving sorceress, how are you going to use them to actively transform your daily life? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.